Sorry, I had to. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre is Hollywood's latest sequel to have the same title as the original. I don't know why they keep doing this. And it tells the story of who cares? You all know the plot by now. A group of young people go to Texas and Leatherface starts coming after them. A load of blood and guts ensues, we get it. All you need to know is this. This is a sequel to the 50-year-old classic, and just like 2013's Texas Chainsaw 3D, this film is trying to be the true sequel to the original by retconning all of the other sequels. That's right, they're trying that again. But considering how bad this franchise has been in the past, I can't really say that I blame them. The problem is, not only is this worse than most of the films it's trying to delete, but ironically, this has actually added to the reasons why all of this needs to be retconned in the first place. Let me put it this way, I used to hate Texas Chainsaw 3D, and I'm not saying I like it now, but after seeing this film I definitely appreciate it a lot more than I used to. I gave it a quick scan through last night to see if it was really as bad as I remember, and yeah, it's god awful at times, but it definitely brought something new to the table. This one, not so much. Let's talk about what I liked about it. The first act seemed to take itself seriously. It has the same suffocating look and atmosphere of the original, and this franchise has rarely had actual characters, but this seemed to be counteracting that problem. The fact that our protagonists are entrepreneurs gave me hope, because I'd take that over the typical horny teenagers high on drugs any day of the week. There are no arsehole protagonists or token characters, sexualized people. Nah, the script actually let us spend some time with these guys and I was enjoying it. And the best part of this film for me was Sarah Yarkin. Not only did I believe her when she was being traumatized, but her scenes were great. Earlier on, there are these wonderful, long, tension-filled scenes where she has to hide from Leatherface, and I was into that. I was kind of squirming and wondering what was going to happen next. But then it didn't take me long to realize that I was giving Texas Chainsaw 2022 way too much credit. This is not some respectful sequel trying to pump authenticity back into this franchise. It does not have a brain in its head. This film is god-awful. Almost everything I liked about it was eventually contradicted and cancelled out. As I said, it actually began developing its characters, but all of the developments went nowhere. No one really completed their arcs. There was absolutely no point in giving these characters any type of backstory. It all goes nowhere. I also really liked its serious tone in the beginning, but then the violence got introduced and it turned into a full-blown comedy. Someone gets impaled by a chainsaw and they look bored, as if there's not a chainsaw going straight through their stomach. And some guy gets his leg snapped in half by a hammer, and somehow he's able to stand on this leg and keep fighting Leatherface back. It's also silly and cartoony. It doesn't fit in with the original. And speaking of which, Leatherface is now a completely different character. Leatherface is now a senior citizen, and he hasn't killed anyone in 50 years. Well, you could have fooled me. He no longer has the mind of a child. He's actually smart now. He lures people into traps and easily outsmarts his victims. He fights like a ninja, like he's been doing this every second of every day for the past 50 years. He's killing better than he did back in the original. How is he 50 years out of practice? I don't know. And even worse, he's supposed to be an old man, but oh no, he's superhuman. Guys, with just one hand, with just the flick of a wrist, he snaps a man's arm in half like it's a straw. And he's now been retconned into an invincible serial killer. You just can't kill Leatherface. You can shoot him multiple times with a shotgun and it won't do anything to him. Seriously? This film's trying to tell me that in the original he was invincible? As if a chainsaw didn't cut straight through his leg and give him a bad limp afterwards? Nah. But far worse than that was the character, Sally. That's right, she makes a return here, and it's god-awful. Now, they were clearly passionate about bringing this character back to the franchise because The original actress who played as her has since passed on, so they have someone else now filling her shoes. Not only is she a complete rip-off of Laurie Strode from the recent Halloween films, you know she's been preparing for vengeance ever since the original film, but she only has a few lines of dialogue and only a few minutes worth of screen time. She does absolutely nothing for the story. There is no point for her to be here. Her potential was wasted and she was disregarded, as if she wasn't the main survivor of one of the most impactful horror films ever made. Ever. Now, considering my appreciation for the original, you'd think Sally's use in this film would offend me, but it doesn't. Because just like 2013's Texas Chainsaw, I don't see this true sequel as canon. I'll never watch the original and believe this mess is what comes next. Nor will I ever see it again. Plain and simple, I just don't respect this film enough to get angry at it. It has done nothing to affect my appreciation of the original. So, in the end, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 is terrible filmmaking. It's soulless, uneventful, uninteresting, unoriginal, and I have no idea who to recommend it to. If you're a fan of the original, this one disrespects its tone and story. But if you're not into the original, and all you want is a load of blood and guts, well, you're gonna get that here. But in between all of the kills, there is a lot of downtime, and I think it will piss you off. The only positive I can take away from this film is Sarah Yarkin. She is way too good for this film. Hopefully she'll be another case like Renée Zellweger or Matthew McConaughey. Those two were in one of the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre films ever made, but look, they went on to become big stars. Sarah Yarkin deserves it. Hopefully this film has not stunted her growth. But hey, at least this is a Netflix film, right? Meaning I didn't have to pay for a cinema ticket. That helps. But at the same time, I've lost something far more precious than money. My time. I'm gonna give Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 a 2.5 out of 10. Just stick with the original, guys, and the 2003 remake, and its prequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. I think those three films are solid. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay jiggy. The Badger appreciates you.